In a world that just never ever stops talking, what's the most powerful thing you can hear? Well, it might just be nothing at all. Today, we're diving deep into the transformative power of silence, and we're going to explore what happens when we finally stop broadcasting and really start to listen. I mean, there's no denying it, right? We are living in a constant wall of sound. From the second we wake up, our minds are just flooded with this relentless stream of information, notifications, pings, dings, you name it. But where is all this noise really coming from? And that right there leads to a pretty huge question. As loud as the outside world gets, what if the most relentless, the most exhausting noise isn't actually coming from our phones or our cities? What if it's coming from the nonstop chatter inside our own heads? That's the big idea we're going to unpack together. Okay, so to get started, let's really get our arms around the scale of the problem. Welcome to what we might call the modern age of noise. Just think about your average day for a second. It's this constant bombardment, right? Notifications, endless social media feeds, the literal sounds of traffic. But here's the thing, and spiritual traditions have been saying this for centuries. All that noise on the outside, it's just feeding something on the inside. They call it the monkey mind, that restless, chattering part of us that just never seems to shut up. And get this isn't some new problem we invented with smartphones. Hundreds of years ago, the philosopher Blaise Pascal basically hit the nail on the head. He suggested that our deep, deep discomfort with just being still is the root cause of so many of our issues. Pretty wild, right? So, if all that noise is the problem, what's the answer? Well, to find it, we need to totally rethink what we mean when we say silence. See, it's not about an absence of something. It's a powerful, potent presence all on its own. And this brings us to a really crucial point. Spiritual silence isn't just about things being quiet. No, it's an active, intentional practice. It's about deliberately creating a space, both around you and inside you, that becomes a kind of gateway to a deeper awareness that you just can't get to when there's all that noise. Mystics from all over the world held this state in the absolute highest regard. The Christian mystic Meister Eckhart didn't just think silence was peaceful, he saw it as divine. For him, it was the closest we could possibly get to experiencing something sacred. There's this amazing metaphor from ancient traditions that explains this perfectly. On the left here, you've got the outward doors. Those are our senses, constantly pulling our attention out into the world. This creates a kind of distracted, simulated self that's always just reacting to stuff. But look on the right. That's what silence opens, the single inward door. And that leads to true awareness. It reveals who you are behind all that noise, the calm, true observer that's always there. And believe me, this isn't some niche idea from one culture. It's a universal truth. It's a path to wisdom that you hear echoed by sages and mystics all throughout history. The amazing Sufi poet Rumi put it so beautifully. He knew that the deepest connection we can find isn't in some complicated prayer or text, but in that quiet, still space that exists beyond all of our words and ideas. And fast forward a few centuries, you have the great Christian mystic Thomas Merton saying something very similar. He saw silence, not as an escape, but as an essential rest stop. A place on the journey where you pull over to refuel and reconnect with your deeper self. And you see this path pop up everywhere you look. In Buddhism, you've got silent Vipassana meditation. In Hinduism, you had sages like Ramana Maharshi, whose silent presence alone was said to awaken other people. The Prophet Muhammad taught that silence leads to salvation. And even a modern leader like Mahatma Gandhi used a regular practice of silence to keep himself grounded in the middle of all that chaos. Okay, so this isn't just ancient wisdom anymore, and this is where things get really, really cool. Modern science is actually starting to prove what these sages knew all along. It turns out some pretty incredible things happen to your brain and your body when you finally get quiet. And we're not just talking about feeling good. These are real, measurable effects. Practicing silence actually reduces cortisol. That's your body's main stress hormone. And it can lower your blood pressure. And this one is just mind-blowing. It can even promote the growth of new brain cells in your hippocampus, which is the memory center of your brain. It helps you sleep better. It calms your whole nervous system. I mean, the physical benefits are just undeniable. And you don't need to go on some month-long silent retreat to feel this stuff. In fact, studies have found that just 2 minutes of pure silence can be more relaxing for your body and brain than listening to so-called relaxing music. Just think about that. 2 minutes.
So, this all sounds amazing, right? But the big question is, how do we actually do this in our ridiculously busy, noisy lives? Well, the good news is, it's a lot simpler than you might think.
But first, a really important heads up. It's probably going to feel weird or even uncomfortable when you start. When you finally cut off all the constant input, your mind might actually seem louder for a little while. That flood of racing thoughts is totally 100% normal. The real key is to just notice it without judging yourself and stick with it. So here is a super simple 4-step way to begin. First, just start small. 10 minutes a day is perfect. Second, find a spot where you know you won't be interrupted. Third, gently bring your focus to your breath, just noticing it go in and out. And finally, and this is the most important part, when thoughts pop up, because they will, just acknowledge them and then let them float by like clouds in the sky, always bringing your attention back to your breath. That's it. That's the whole practice.
At the end of the day, the goal isn't really to escape the world. It's to build up an inner stillness that you can carry with you out into the world. As the author Caroline Myss says, this stillness is a form of power. It empowers you to act with clarity, with intention, instead of just reacting to all the chaos around you. This whole thing, it moves from just being an interesting idea to something you actually live, and it happens with one simple choice. So, we'll leave you with this one question to think about. In the middle of all the noise and all the demands of your day, where will you find your silence today?